Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about HiDream LoRA training. Really exciting one because I think HiDream has a lot of untapped potential right now. As it stands, HiDream is probably not better than Flux in terms of quality of the image produced, but it is way ahead of Flux in terms of prompt following. So I think there's potential that if a really good LoRA or a really good fine tune of HiDream comes out, that we could end up with a better image model than Flux. I'm hoping that I can contribute to the community in this way, show you guys how to train a HiDream LoRA, and hopefully we all benefit if someone comes up with a really great LoRA. So I'm going to be using my tool that I built called ArtOfficial Studio. If you're interested in using this, hit me up on either Discord or on my Patreon. It's free to use right now while it's in beta, and I just think it's been really useful. I've completely ditched my other ComfyUI environment, and I've just been running everything through this tool. It's Docker based, so it works on everything from Windows, Linux, cloud. It works everywhere where you could want to use it. There's documentation for how to start it up. I'm not going to go through all the startup right now, especially because there's differences between Linux and Windows and cloud and all that. If you do have trouble getting it started, very available on Discord to help out with that. So once you have it spun up, this is what it looks like. You can head over to the training tools section, and then there's a drop down here. I provide 3 different training tools right now. The only one that I've thoroughly tested is Diffusion Pipe. Flux Gym and Koya do have, like, the install is clean, but I haven't actually tried to train LoRAs in them yet. So if you want to go ahead and give it a shot, just know that they're very experimental right now. So for Diffusion Pipe, all you do is select it from the drop down and you hit install and it'll run through the install. Mine's technically already installed, so it just needed to do some initialization, and now it's running on port 7000 here. So all we need to do is go over to the app links and click on Diffusion Pipe, and it'll pop up a user interface for you. This supports any model that Diffusion Pipe supports. If there is a model that Diffusion Pipe supports that I'm missing, just let me know. I can add it in pretty easily. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is give our data set a name. So I'm going to be training a superhero character called Verdant, and I already did a test one, so I'm going to call it Verdant 2. All right, so after that we hit create dataset and we get our dataset created. I have a bunch of images over here. They're 1024 by 1024 images that I used my consistent characters video to create. They're not the best resolution, but they should work well enough. And then for captioning, I just did simple captions. I haven't tried a lot of HiDream training yet, so I'm not sure the best way to caption at this point. But basically, I just want to be able to prompt for both the character and the costume separately. So if I wanted to get the character wearing regular clothes, I could potentially do that. Verda is going to be my character, and then costume is going to be the consistent costume that she wears. Okay, and then so after that, all we do is we just need to drag the images and prompts in, and you'll see them pop up in the dataset preview. And feel free to caption your images however you'd like. Just make sure that you have a caption for each image, and make sure the caption's name is a text file and matches the image name. That is how we upload our images. You can leave the dataset path, config path, and output path alone. Those are preset to the ArtOfficial Studio paths that it wants to use. And the really cool thing is the output path goes directly into your ComfyUI LoRAs folder. So when you're doing your training, it'll just put all of the files right into your ComfyUI folder, and you can test them right there. And then these are the models that I have set up right now. So like I said, we're going to use HiDream, but we also have WAN, LTX, Hunyuan, and Flux in here as well. So for HiDream training, it does require Meta Llama 3.1, which is actually a gated model. So you do need to go in and ask for approval. I asked for approval, and I think it took less than 30 minutes to get the approval. But because this uses the Llama 3.1 LLM, that you do need to do this. After you have that approval, I'll link this URL in the description so you can get to it. But after you have the approval, you need to go into your Hugging Face account and go to your access tokens, and then you need to create a new token. So You just need a read token and then just name it whatever you want. I already created a couple, so I'm just going to invalidate one of them and reuse it. Okay, so I'm just using the value I got from the test HiDream token, and I'm going to put that into the token field, and then for my username, the artificial trainer, and then click download model. All right, so I already downloaded the models prior. I've done some training on this, so I know that it works. You'll get a status here that the model's downloaded. Even if you've already downloaded it and you come back, it'll still tell you that it's downloaded. You can just skip this step. And even if you accidentally click download model, it's not going to re-download everything. It's just going to tell you that it's already downloaded. All right, all of these paths are set already for you, so no need to worry about finding all the correct paths. They're just there for you. For our D type and our transformer D type, we're going to leave them alone at bfloat 16 and float 8. And then we are going to use the 4-bit llama 3 just to save some memory. Okay, now we can come down into our training parameters. So I'm going to use 2e to the -4. This was set up originally as 2e to the -5. It's just going to take too long. You'll probably get better results using 2e to the -5, but I don't want to wait all day to show you guys the results. So I'm going to use 2e to the -4. Epochs, you can just leave it at 1,000. We can stop the epochs, or we can stop the training at whatever interval we want. Save every n epochs. I'm just going to do 1 for this one. It's just kind of an OCD thing for me. If there's a really good epoch, I don't want to miss it. So we're going to leave that at 1. The rest of this, you can just leave the same. And obviously, if you know what you like out of LoRA training, you feel free to adjust any of these parameters similarly to, Koya or FluxGym or any other tool you use. Okay, now we get down. I typically just leave all of this the same. But now we get down to frame buckets and resolutions and dataset num repeats. So AR buckets you can leave alone unless you're using different aspect ratios. For me, it's just going to be 1-to-1 aspect ratio. I'm training 1024 by 1024. Frame buckets. This is more related to video training. If you're training a LoRA on videos, you need to tell the model how many frames are in the videos. But since we're training on images, it's just 1 frame per file. Dataset num repeats, just 1. We're not using regularization images or anything like that, so just put it on 1. Anything more than that is overkill. Resolutions, like I said, 1024 by 1024. If you do want to do non-square resolutions, there's also directions up here for how to do that. Optimizer type, you can leave it as is. If you want to mess around with other ones, feel free. I'm just going to leave it Atom W Optimi. It typically gives pretty good results. And then the only other thing you may want to adjust, there's 2 other things. There's 2 other things you may want to adjust. Block swap. If you're running on like 16 gigabytes, you may be able to fit 512 by 512 training on it if you swap 29 block. I am running on a 5090 with 32 gigabytes of VRAM, so I'm able to get away with a low amount of block swap, but I think I still need about 10 blocks swapped in order to get it to run. Okay, and then checkpointing. This really depends on how long you're going to run your training. If you're planning on running it all day, you might want to leave it on 120 just because I think the checkpoints are they're pretty large. They're over 1 gig large to do the checkpointing files. I'm only planning to run this probably for 2-ish hours, maybe 3 hours. So I'm going to do a checkpoint every 30 minutes. And the rest of this you can just leave alone. The only other thing we have left to do is click train, I believe. So let's click train. If there's any issues, it'll tell us. Let's go. This part does take a while to go through. I believe this is where it's caching some of the text encoded stuff. So it didn't freeze if it's on this part for 5 to 10 minutes, just taking a while to initialize. All right, and if you see the first step come up, that means that we're training. Okay, so next I'm going to show you how to monitor the training. I don't have evaluation data sets set up in this yet. I'm planning to do that in the future. So right now, you can't use an evaluation data set with this method, but we can take a look at the loss and try to make an educated guess on where our best epochs are. So next I'm going to show you how to get into Tensorboard to monitor this training. So last thing, before we go on into how to monitor the testing in Tensorboard, if you already have Diffusion Pipe set up and you just want to do the training on your own, you don't want to use the UI or my tool or whatever, I have example TOML files on my Patreon. So just head to the link in the description. The TOML files are there. You can just modify them to make them fit your use case. And also the tokenizers that you need for this training are in the description below. So I'm trying to offer a kind of like a one-click user-friendly way to do this, but also still make the more technical way easier as well. So hopefully that's helpful. Hopefully you like that approach. In order to look at the Tensorboard, all you need to do is go to App Links and click the Tensorboard link. And you can see this is our Verdant 2 Tensorboard results. So pretty cool that you don't have to do anything to set Tensorboard up. It's just running for you. So we're just going to let this run for a while and I'll come back in a little bit. All right, so I am about an hour and a half into training. We're almost at 500 steps. This just saved a checkpoint, so I figured this would be a good time to stop the training, give it a test, see how it's working, and see if we need to do more training or if we can stop here and our LoRA is good. Okay, and just so you know, so I swapped 10 blocks, and this was taking 29 gigabytes of VRAM. You should be able to use NF4 quantization. So you can use NF4 quantization for the transformer D type, which should save you even more space than just using flow 8. So give that a shot if you're running low on VRAM. It shouldn't cause too much of a hit to your LoRA quality. And yeah, so even in the pipe tree or in the diffusion pipe notes, it says that with enough block swapping, you can train on a single 24 GB GPU. And with NF4 quantization, you can even get lower, but you might see some quality decrease. All right, so now let's go back to ArtOfficial Studio and let's check out our Tensorboard. All right, so you can see that the epoch loss did decrease significantly. Again, I'm not using an evaluation data set because the UI doesn't have that built into it yet, which it will eventually, but it's not there yet. So right now we kind of just have to try to use the local minimum technique. It's not the best, but it at least gives us a place to start at. So we trained 156 epochs in an hour and a half, and we are going to give some of these a test. So, all right, so we go back to ArtOfficial Studio, and first thing we're going to need to do is download the HiDream model. So head over to the model downloader, and we're going to use the full version. This is somewhat slower, but gives it really, really great image quality and prompt following. So I'd recommend trying out full if your VRAM allows it. And if not, there's also GGUFs out there that you can download too. All right, so just hit the checkbox and we'll hit download selected. I already have them all downloaded, so it just downloads successfully immediately. But if you didn't have them downloaded, then they would start downloading. All right, and then we're gonna go over to the app links and open up ComfyUI. And then head over to the workflows folder and just search for HiDream. And we want HiDream image gen. So the first thing you might notice about this workflow is that we don't have a regular K sampler in here. We have the Res for Life nodes Clown Shark sampler. The quality of images produced is way, way, way better with these samplers than it is with the regular K samplers, which is why we're using this node pack instead of just standard native Comfy nodes. So if you're using ArtOfficial Studio, all your models will be in the correct places. If you're not, the model links are in the note up here. Okay, so in order to test our epochs, the first thing we want to do is generate a base. We're going to go to 1024 by 1024, just square images. If you need to know what the recommended HiDream resolutions are, you can go to their GitHub page, And if you go to the gradiodemo.py, there's resolution options here. So you can use any of those resolution options. Those are the recommended ones. I'm going to go with the 1024 by 1024. And then we're just going to go for a simple, I think we'll say woman riding a majestic horse through the woods. I just want something that's kind of complicated. I really want to end up ultimately show you guys how much better this model is than Flux at prompt following, and how much more flexible the LoRAs end up being as well. Okay, so I think this is going to be a good base image for us to start with. It is a little bit far away, so our woman is kind of, the face is a bit deformed. At the end, I'll show you guys some better generations with the LoRA, because I think at the beginning you saw you can get some really great quality when you're a bit closer up to the subjects. But I think that this is going to really allow us to see the flexibility of the LoRA, and I'll be able to show you kind of what an overtrained LoRA is versus what a perfectly trained LoRA is. All right, so let's turn our LoRA loader on. And as you can see, all of the LoRAs are just downloaded straight into the ComfyUI folder, which makes it really convenient to do the testing. That's just how ArtOfficial Studio sets it up, makes it convenient. Okay, so let's go to our Tensorboard. So just go back to ArtOfficial Studio and click on the Tensorboard. And as I've mentioned, we don't have a evaluation data set, so we're gonna have to use the local minimum technique. It's not the best, but it's something that gives us some direction. So the lowest local minimum here is 145. This is probably going to be overtrained. So let's try 145, and then we'll talk about why is it overtrained versus not. This is my prompt for my LoRA training. So I'm just going to replace the woman with my LoRA training prompt, and I'm just gonna make it clear that this unique word that we used is a woman, because otherwise the model may not know. And then I'm just gonna specify that it's a green costume, just to give the model some more direction. All right, so let's try it with this, and we'll see if it's overtrained or what. All right, so this generation's actually pretty decent. There are a couple signs in here that it's overtrained. So the light in the back coming in a bit green is one of those indicators. This greenish collar that's around the horse is an indicator. The saddle having some leaking into it is an indicator. So this isn't terrible. It's honestly better than I expected, but I do believe it's a little bit overtrained. So let's drop it down a little bit. We're essentially just trying to get it to replicate this image, but with just our character riding on the horse, if possible. We want to get as close to that as possible. Okay, so let's go back to our Tensorboard. Let's try Epoch 121. All right, so a little bit less, it's like a little bit cleaner and less noisy around the horse. You can see here, especially around the collar, in the overtrained one, we had a lot of noise. And you can see some of the lighting from this one come back here. This one kind of had like, it's washed out in the back here. This one has a bit more focused lighting. We have the dirt being kicked up in the back. So I do think that this one on the left here is slightly more flexible, and it also adheres to the costume of the woman a little bit better. All right, so let's try one more. All right, 100 looks like it's a pretty good one. So, all right, so not a whole lot of difference here between 121 and 100. I actually think 121 holds the likeness a little bit better. Let's just try to find an undertrained one real quick. I'll find one from really early in the data set, or from really early in the training, and we'll see what an undertrained one looks like. So let's look at 31. All right, so here's where you can see it's undertrained, right? So we have the clothes here, but the face kind of still looks like the old one. And her hair is still pretty much the same color as the original one. We're not getting the, brunette hair, and the face doesn't look as similar as these ones do. All right, so I think that that's a pretty good way to test it. I mean, obviously that's just one test. I would do like, 3 or 4 of these with different subject matters, maybe some close up, maybe some far away, and try to narrow it in that way. You'll probably end up with liking like 3 out of each batch, and then you can see which ones are common across them. All right, so I think 121 ended up being the winner. Both 121 and 100 were pretty good. So I'll probably flip a little bit between those two, but now I want to kind of just show off the image quality. You saw it at the beginning, but I think that this sampler really makes a big difference in the quality that you get from HiDream. All right, so I'm going to switch this to a landscape image, and then I'm doing my character riding a vicious wolf into battle with the sword raised. All right, so didn't quite get the sword right there, but I mean, look at the quality of that wolf. That is really, really good. And the quality of the, of the woman herself is solid, right amount of fingers. And this we haven't run it through like an SD upscale pass or anything like that. So this is just straight out of the sampler. So that's really solid. Next I want to do a close up. Solid generation, great detail. I mean, even you can see like how poor quality the images I put in were, and then how good the quality we're getting out with this sampler and model is. And remember, this is only 20 steps, so you could even turn it up to 30 and probably get even better results. All right, let's do one more. All right, so this just shows you how flexible the model is, right? There was no black and white images in my data set, yet we were able to get a black and white image out. You can do this with a bunch of other art styles as well. It works with the Ghibli style, and it works with a bunch of others just right out of the box. I could even, I could do cartoon drawing, I could do animated drawing, and all of those styles work. So this model is super, super powerful. I think this Res for Life sampler is going to make a big difference in HiDream being a useful model going forward. One other thing, if you don't like the quality you've been getting, there is a small quality hit from Sage Attention. So if you bypass Sage Attention, you'll get a little bit better quality out at the end. But in my opinion, Sage Attention speed is worth it. All right, so that is it for this video. I hope ArtOfficial Studio makes your life training LoRAs a lot easier. It definitely has made mine. If you're interested in trying it out, you could leave a comment in the YouTube comments below, head to my Discord and shoot me a DM there, or send me a message on Patreon and I'll give you access to the beta. If you have any questions on LoRA training in general, you can head over to the Discord. There's a great community there of people helping each other out. It's been really awesome to see that grow. Follow me on X. I posted examples of these LoRAs before the video actually came out, so you can check me out there. Follow my other socials. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps me make more content. I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll talk to you in the next one.